not. I had power over my life direction. Even no decision can be as powerful as any conscious choice with affecting my life path. There is nothing in the human condition that I am not capable of doing, at least potentially doing. I may not have the means or physical attributes to win a gold medal at the Olympic Games, but I can accept the potential for physical prowess. I may not have the means and opportunity to commit genocide, but I can accept the potential for murder in an extreme circumstance. I choose to be good and to do good in this day and in every day. It is a decision we must make every waking moment. No one is inherently good or bad. No one is above any human behavior. The worst of human behavior can only be avoided by choosing that which promotes and sustains life rather than that which harms or destroys life. The trauma in my life has been recorded in my cellular memory, in my mental memories, and in my emotional memory. We have memories, and we also have living memories. Living memories are still charged with the emotions of a past event and hold the power to have me relive the trauma as if it was happening today. The memories that I have successfully cleared, that I am now at peace with, remain only as newsreel records in my mind. The emotional charges are gone, and there are no teeth remaining to gnaw at me if I review the event. Also gone is any need for revenge or punishment to those who played their parts in the traumatic event. This happens when I successfully release them from any further karmic debt to be paid. They and I are released through the power of forgiveness. The depth and extent to which I succeed in forgiving is evidenced by changes in the cellular memory and the absence of emotional charge when recalling an event. Like a newsreel of an event, the facts remain, but are lifeless, no longer animated by emotional memory. It can be a long process and often one of many layers, but it is necessary. But it is a necessary clearing in preparation for transformation into the best of my potential as a spiritual being having a human experience. And I'll open for comments. Reverend Philip, would you like to add?
Well, this is reminiscent of theory of embracing your shadow self.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea behind that is not to embrace the actions, not to go out and do those dark things, those things that you might consider dark. But it's the idea of, as Reverend Thomas was saying, of accepting the potential or the capability or accepting it as part of who you are. Because spiritualism teaches nature. Spiritualism is based on the principles of nature. And in the principles of nature, when you look at nature, you see what we consider the ugly, what we consider the beautiful, what we consider to be good, what we consider to be horrible. It's all part of the flow, the harmony of nature. And we're going to have the very same things in our lives. Racism, hey, I've been there. Bigotry, I've been there. Ignorance, I've been there. Stupidity, I've been there. I'm not gonna share the details with you. Because some of those are very colorful. But the idea is, and again, it comes back to this old adage, don't talk about something unless you've experienced it. Because unless you've experienced it, you really have no foundation to explain it. So we have those parts of us that we try to hide. I try to shroud them in amusement, see me up there joking around and everything. That's how I release that. And the other thing you have to keep in mind is emotions are energy. That is the most powerful energy that you can generate. And I better shut up before I take over.
Good, excellent comments. Thank you. You remind me of the something that I embraced with the first time that I encountered the idea, or eventually the role of the shaman in native cultures was to become knowledgeable in both the light and the dark side. Where the role of the healer, for instance, was to just embrace the light side and to do the healing arts. But the shaman was the one that had to risk being seduced by the dark side, is one way of putting it, in order to master that and understand those forces and ideas. And because the shaman was the protector of the tribe, and had to be the master of both the dark and the light, or the good and the bad. And I feel like that's what we're called to do as well, because it's the mastery of the things that we would like to avoid, or that we think we're not capable of, is the thing that protects us from that. Our history is full of things like the Salem witch trials. How could quote unquote good people do what they did to women accused of being witches, without the idea of them being different, without the idea of whatever they were doing, I'm not capable of, without this holier than thou attitude, that we have the truth and you're just lost. It's that us and them is one of the ways I like to talk about it, that there is no them, there's only us. And it's a big job to embrace the us. It's too tempting to see a them, people that are different, people that are, I mean, there's all kinds of ways that we don't want to admit our weaknesses. We don't want to admit our potential for doing something that even could be horrific. But the potential is there, and the way we keep it at bay is by acknowledging that and saying, I choose not to go there.
I'd like to add a little something to that.
Please.
I think it was in the 70s, could have been in the 80s. But there was a psychologist named Milgram. And you know, if you're familiar with the psychology discipline, then you'll know that he conducted some psychological experiments that were very revealing. And as part of that experiment, he brought in good people, and he set them up with a button that would send electric shocks to a person in another room if they got questions, if questions were answered incorrectly. And for each incorrect question, the voltage went up. Now, of course, he didn't actually have it set up like that, but it was a good stage act there with him. So this person would ask the other one questions, and then for each incorrect question, they would press a button. They would increase the voltage, press the button. And one of these results was really, I found it very profound because the person pressing the button was good. I'll leave it at that. Good person. And after the experiment was over with and he met the other person, he didn't ask the other person how they felt or apologize for doing that. The only thing that this person had said was that I was not responsible for any of that. So it reveals a lot about ourselves. If we feel that we are not responsible for the outcome of an act, it doesn't bother us. This person kept pushing this button, increasing the voltage, enjoyed it actually. And in the end, he didn't care about the other person's welfare. He was too concerned about absolving himself of responsibility. And this is why responsibility is so important. It's not about the act that you do. It's not about the intention you had behind the act. It's whether the act resulted in harming another. And whether you choose, again, that magic word, choose to accept the responsibility for that. And try to make amends for it, to correct the behavior, to correct those types of things. And I think that sums up what Reverend Thomas was teaching us about.
I don't know whether it was the same set of experiments. They sound strikingly familiar to not be, and I don't know that I ever knew I could credit the source. But there was an experiment like that, was I think with college students, but anyway, they were shocking another. And the same setup, one where they could see each other, and one where the people doing the shock were unseen and anonymous. And they had a choice into how much to increase the voltage. And if they were anonymous, the shocks were worse than when they were seen. And boy, that plays right into modern day social media and some of the things that are going on, and the extreme bullying and things that people will do when they think they're anonymous. And those are all parts of human nature. And again, it's not about them doing that. It's about me having that potential. And that's the whole point, is that as we see something we abhor, we have to take ownership of it and say, okay, how does that live in me? How does that potential live in me? And so that we can counter that, so that we can plan for it, so that we can choose not to ever be seduced in that direction. It's easy to find ways to justify bad things. History's full of examples. And I will leave that there with my love and blessing, and I didn't call on you today. Thank you.
That's okay.
Thank you, Reverend Thomas. And yes, that experiment was part of that overall set of experiments, because when they looked at the results of Milgram's experiments, that was when they developed strict ethics, strict guidelines for psychologists on the research level. That's where the informed consent comes into play. So it was part of it.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So, and you can go ahead and stop that if you like.